Hi everyone, welcome back to another video in our Keycloak series. If you haven't watched the previous video, don't worry, I will provide the link in the description below so you can catch up on all the important details we covered last time. Okay, now in this today's video we are going to deep dive into Keycloak service provider interface, or we can call it as SPI. So what exactly is SPI? We will explore all of this in today's video. Out-of-box Keycloak provide a range of standard-based integration protocol like SAML, OpenID Connect, and OAuth. This built-in functionality is quite powerful, but sometimes it's not enough. A common requirement, especially when legacy systems are involved, is to integrate a user from those systems to Keycloak. To accommodate this and similar integration scenario, Keycloak support the concept of custom provider. Custom provider play a key role in Keycloak's architecture. For every major functionality like login flow, authentication, authorization, there is a corresponding service provider interface. This approach allows us to plug in custom implementation for any of those services, which Keycloak will use as if they were its own. In the simplest form, the custom provider is just a standard jar file containing one or more service implementation. This custom provider enables us to extend the Keycloak capability and tailor it to meet your specific requirements. So, how does the service Keycloak understands service SPIs? So, it's actually a jar. So, how it will work? So at startup, Keycloak will scan its class path and pick all the available provider using standard service loader mechanism. So this means that all we have to do is to create a file, a jar file after a specific service interface, and we want to provide it in a meta-inf services folder. Okay, and that's how the Keycloak will understand the jar file. Now let me explain you some list of service provider interface which Keycloak supports. The first one is authentication factory. So it is used like it defines an action and interaction flow required to authenticate a user or a client application. The second one is action token handler factory. So this is actually required for password reset flow, where a link is included in an email includes that actually is an action token. The third one is event listener provider factory. It provides it actually a Keycloak events so that we can customize it. And other one is a user storage provider factory. It allows us to like a custom user store, which I'm going to cover today. Okay, now let's deep dive into the code, and for this video I'm going to explain about custom storage. So what is actually custom storage, why it is required. So suppose you have a legacy system where some customers are stored in some table and you want to integrate with Keycloak. So that's how the Keycloak supports it. That's how we call it as a custom user custom storage. So this is a project. So this is a simple Gradle project. So you can generate this project from Spring Initializer. So I will show you the basic files. Setting.gradle, you can see build.gradle, and it is based on Spring 3.2.6. okay, and it is based on Java 17, and the Keycloak core version 24 I have used. Keycloak server SPI, model JPA, Keycloak services. So these are the important Keycloak libraries which we have to use. Okay, and now let's see how to write an SPI. Okay, so let me show you some important files. So source, main, resources, application.properties, nothing, you can see nothing is there. Meta-inf, persistence.xml. So this is one of the important file which is required. So here we have mentioned persistent unit name as user store, transaction type JTA, and this is the class, this is the entity class, and here some properties we have mentioned it, MySQL dialect and data source as user store. I will explain a bit uh, later. Okay, and this is the service. Like you can see, the name of the file is org keycloak storage user storage provider factory. So here I have mentioned my class custom storage provider factory. So I will explain this uh, file in detail. And the next thing is let me show you the model class. So this is the customer class, so which I have mentioned it here. So you can see this is the entity class, the customer is the table. So here some basic columns are there: ID, username, email, first name, last name, and active. So this is where like existing customers are stored. Okay, now I will show you the actual provider classes. So you can see customer storage provider factory. So this is the factory class, and you can see here customer storage provider factory. I have mentioned it here. So this is how the Keycloak will understand. So here we need to extend this class with user storage provider factory, and this is my provider class actually. And you can see here entity manager I have defined, and in the create method I am injecting the Keycloak session and the entity manager on customer storage provider factory class. And here I am creating the entity manager, and here actual DB connections I'm making it with Hibernate persistence provider. So here I'm create entity manager factory user store where we already have specified in persistence.xml, and here I'm providing the connection detail. So customer DB service 3306, and customer is the database, and username and password. Although for this video I have provided it here in on a plain text, but again you can create it in an environment variable, and you can do it. Okay, and here I'm closing the entity connection, and here the ID is customer user storage. So this name is important. I will explain a bit later in this video. So in this connection nothing is happening. Here I'm creating the customer storage provider this class and injecting the Keycloak session and DB connection here, and closing the DB connections, and all are all done here. Now let me show you the customer storage provider class. So here we can see the component model what we have injected from customer storage provider factory, Keycloak session, and entity manager. Okay, and here this class is extending user storage provider, user registration provider, query provider, and user lookup provider. So this we can extend it from many classes, but again for this I have done least. Okay, and search for user stream. Okay, so this is the important method which is used when we search the Keycloak, when we search a user from the Keycloak. So and this is how we get the user string whatever we have typed it. Okay, so here I have used map or default, and email and username I have used. So this is for different purpose when we use a Keycloak client, admin client. That way it will be useful. Okay, once we get a search param, and here with entity manager we are creating a query. So your query is simple, like select star from customer, where email like search param, and we are wrapping the customer class, and this is simple. And for that we need a customer adapter, like converting this customer type to a user model. Okay, so the customer adapter, it's a simple thing. it's again we have to extend it from the abstract user adapter federated storage. So like customer object, I am assigning it here, and this is the ID, the storage.keycloak ID, where we have to use this. Okay, and because it will store a different it will create a different ID for this. I will show you. Get username, set username. These are very simple, like nothing much here. Again, going back and get group member string. This is I have not implemented because this is used to search store groups. Search user for user attributes, that I have shown in my previous video that the user has attributes, so we can search by attributes also, and that's how we can implement this. We can implement this. Add user also we can do, and it will add a user to the database. That also we can do. Remove an user, it will delete the user. Again, implementation I have not done. Set model and also these are getter and setter method. And get by user ID, this also will be useful when we view a user. Actually, when we after searching, when we click on the user, this part is, so here storage dot external ID and all, we are getting the persistent ID because on the database we are storing as auto implemented number like 1 2 3 4 or something, but Keycloak ID is a different. So I will show you when we debug. Yes, let's see from the customer where ID is equal to this one, and it will get a list, and customer dot get 0 and all, it will convert it to user model and return. And similarly for the username, it is by username. Okay, and username is simple, do anything, and it is very simple. Well, and going it very quickly, I will anyways I will check in the code in GitHub, and I will share the link in the video. And the last one is get user by email. So this is like a simple search by user. Okay, I think I have covered all the files. This is the entity class. This is the customer adapter. This is the customer storage provider where actually we are doing the search. Okay, and this is the provider factory class where we are doing the connections and initializing the customer storage provider class. And this is like this is nothing, this is not being used. And this is the file where we specify customer storage adapter factory class, this one. And this is the persistence.xml. This is required for the Keycloak to understand how to do the DB connection. Application properties, nothing is there. Tests are empty. If you want to write a test, you can do it. Build.gradle, you can see it is based on 3.2.6, based on Java 17, and these are the important Keycloak libraries which we have to include, and nothing is there. Okay, and now I will explain, and you can build the jar like this, and you need to copy to the Keycloak deployment folder. I will explain this now.
Okay, now let me explain you how I have created the Keycloak environment. So I have used Docker Compose, but you can do anything you want. You can do it with a simple Docker. So let me explain. This is a Keycloak 22 and version is 22. These are the environment variables. I have used Postgres DB. So in my last videos, I haven't used the DB, but so in this example, I'm using the Postgres DB. Okay, because the Keycloak stores the data as in H2 as well as in Postgres also. There are some other options are also there, but here I am using Postgres. The port is 8080 and 5005. It's for the debug port. So here you can see the debug point. So we can debug our SPI also if we want. Okay, and this is the directory where we have to copy our jar file, the opt keycloak provider. So this is the our local directory keycloak provider. You can see here, this is the jar file which we have to copy here. Depends on Keycloak DB and customer DB service. So customer DB is the DB which is connecting to customer in my previously I have shown. So this is the Keycloak DB, and it is simple, and this is the MySQL DB, MySQL 8. Username and password I have specified here, but in real life example we have to use environment variable. So it is pointing opening a port on 3306, and this is the init SQL. Okay, and init SQL is nothing but I'm creating a customer table and inserting few data. Let me show you the Keycloak interface. Okay, now you can see my Keycloak is running, up and running, and let me show you. This is Keycloak customer DB service and Keycloak DB, everything is running. Let me show you the DB table on MySQL. So as you can see, customer is the table, and it has this data: user 1, user 2. So this is the data table has. Okay, and now let's get back to Keycloak. So we have deployed the customer SP, so we can see this in the provider info. If you search it with the custom, you can see custom user storage. So this is the name which we have provided in the factory class. So the same thing is appearing here. Okay. Now let me create a ream. Okay. Customer. Okay, the ream is created. Okay, now let's we need to go to user federation. So this is appearing here, and we can give any name, user custom user, something like that. Any name we can give it. So this is enabled now. Okay, we can disable it from here also. Okay, and let's go to user. So let me search user. Yes, you can see this exactly. It is coming. Whatever is stored in a DB, it is exactly coming like this. If we want to see, let me update this username as. Save it, and we will again update. You can see it is reflected here. Okay, if we click here also, it is coming. Okay, and this is the data which is coming from DB. But if we want to store some attributes, so what Keycloak will do is the attributes, it will store it in the Keycloak DB as well, because attributes we are not storing in the MySQL DB. So this is something extra which will take this as a reference, and it will store, the Keycloak will store this attribute in the Keycloak DB. Okay, so this is all about custom user storage. So in case of a legacy system, how we can use this. Okay, but here we need to keep in mind that we are extending the Keycloak functionality and doing something extra. So few features might not work. Like in that case, we need to do some extra coding and all if it is required. And we can see this how it is working. So even the add user, if we want to do an add user, we need to implement I think the add user function here. Yes, add user. So we need to implement this add user if we want to add an user, remove user. Similarly, if we want to remove an user like this, we click here, there is a delete button. So even if we click on delete, so this method will be called. Okay, so few things, search by user attribute string, and it is like this one. So if we want to search by any attribute, like this method, we have to implement it So few things we need to implement if we as per our requirement. So this example is all about custom user story. Okay, and let me show you one thing. If we disable it, okay, and if you search it again, you won't get any data. Okay, and that's how like the custom user storage works. And I'm ending this session here. Thank you for watching session. In my next video I will come up with some new thing. Yeah, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for my next video.